Now I want to switch gears to the team across the hallway in the Los Angeles Clippers. Everybody knows, both you and I both support the Clippers. I want to get your thoughts on this because I wanted to ask you about it before, and then I'll get into the Clippers and a whole bunch of questions I have about that. Gilbert Arenas was recently on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp. He also went to Paul George's show. I don't know if you know Paul George, but I think I know you know Gilbert Arenas. Yep. So he went on there, and the Clippers seem to be the team that everybody poo-poos on and makes fun of. And he essentially called the Clippers the hoes of the NBA, right? My question to you is, why do you think Gil feels that way, to feel like, okay, you know what, man, this team is the hoes of the NBA, when they have the richest owner in sports, they've been playing well for years, and still felt the need to say that? What does he know about the Clippers that we don't know?
I don't think he knows anything about the Clippers other than the obvious. They haven't won a championship, so you can say whatever you want about them in this world of you're a champion or a bust. And I think that's what a lot of players are doing. And we talked about this, how former players are now buying into what the media has told us for decades, right? So this whole narrative of like, you got to win championships or else, it really wasn't at the beginning and the origins of sports in terms of greatness, right? You didn't have to do that. And then when it started to insert itself, it wasn't even uniform. Like, if that's the case, Bill Russell's the best player ever, and shut up. Everybody shut up. And we don't shut up. We keep talking because we know we're just talking out of both sides of our mouth. It's not just championships. It's not just how many rings. There's much more to it. Gilbert, look, he's blown up. He's blowing up. He's big time now. And, you know, some of those habits you acquire and some of them you got to break. I love the fact that when he said that, everybody looked at him like, dog, what are you doing right now? What's really going on? Like, have you really just turned in your player's card to just say they're the hoes? Like, this is what has happened to our media. You got to be so provocative. You got to be so extra. No sentence can end with a period anymore. It got to be an exclamation point or you didn't say shit. And I'm just looking at people like, dog, Gilbert, what are you talking about? And then it's funny because half his homeboys played for the Clippers. And so it's like, what you gonna call them, hoes too? Like, everybody is in this warped reality of putting extra season salt on everything just to get response instead of just calling it like it is. Clippers gonna be great when they get great players with great coaching because they got great ownership, like every other team. Charles, you remember when Chicago couldn't lose with Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen? Yeah. Now Chicago can't win because they ain't got the same damn players. This is not that deep.
That's a good point.
They got the players now with the Clippers. They gonna win probably. If they don't, then they underachieve. But this whole championship or bust missed me with that.
Yeah, okay, for me, it's something that I want to piggyback on what you just said about the media, and then we'll get back to Gil and the Clippers. You said that this game is becoming so disgusting. From my point of view, I don't know what sports media is turning into these days. It seems like you can say anything and be as ratchet as you want to be as disrespectful as you want to be. And that's the thing that drives views these days. Some of the stuff that people talk about on their platforms, I'm like, and how they say it, I'm like, this is where we are at. And to me, man, it's so surprising to see how watered down it's becoming. Like, it seems like the thought process of it is like, okay, let's just cut on the mic and say whatever the hell comes to our mind, however we want. Where do you see this independent media thing going when you have Gilbert Arenas calling, former NBA player calling the Clippers the hoes and like for clicks? Like, where do you think this is going?
Yeah, and you know, it is shocking, but it shouldn't be surprising at all because if you ever go to a game, you always hear the misfits, you know. Now they just got platforms, you know. And I think what's shocking to me is that people who have resumes, credible players, agent zero, you done bought in, you done caught the smoke, and now you can't breathe unless you say what Skip and them types say. Like, dog, they say it like that because they couldn't do it like you. They couldn't do it like that, so they say it like that. And that's everyone in the arena. So when I go to games, I hear crazy stuff. I mean, insane stuff. Westbrook, you suck. Oh, Paul George, you couldn't do anything. We should have traded you back instead of SGA. And like, just like, okay. And then, you know, obviously they are safe in the crowd, so they say that craziness. But then when someone on the court not only agrees, but actually says it unprovoked, it's like, dog, what kind of sauce are you on right now?
Yeah,
so
it's
as
wild.
I said before, man, look, the people who are the biggest in our industry have poisoned the industry in this way. They were able to say whatever they wanted to say and hide behind the guise of, hey, I'm just doing my job. Hey, this is what I'm up here to do. Hey, I could just criticize anybody because that's my job. Well, Charles, me, others, this is our job. We're going to criticize what the hell you can criticize him too.
Exactly.
And if Gilbert wants to stand on that side, which I know Gilbert, he's a cool dude, that's the homie. He ain't really about that. He just knows that that's what the rewards are. The rewards are to be Stephen A., to be Skip, to talk like that, you get some love. He could get love just being Agent Zero popping off, but he wants to do it the other way.
Yeah, me and him have kind of had not a back and forth, but we've kind of gone back and forth in a friendly way over sports. And I told Gil, we've exchanged messages on Instagram. I said, I refuse to believe that you believe what you're saying. The vast majority. I refuse to believe that these positions that you take, especially how you take them. I'm like, I don't believe that you these things you're saying like you really, really mean it. It just seems like you're saying this maybe to pander to people and all of that. Speaking of the way they cover sports, but I want to go back to the Clippers. We were just talking about the Clippers. I was recently watching a segment before we started our show today on Undisputed. And I actually put up a post on the channel, on our channel community section, maybe 2 hours ago, where I was saying that I think Kawhi Leonard should be in the conversation for MVP. Not that he should be the MVP, just to be in the conversation. Well, they were talking about this today with Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Skip Bayless. Keyshawn was like, yes, I think Kawhi should be in the conversation. Skip Bayless was like, yes, I think he should be in the conversation. But when it got to Richard, he was like, no, man, I mean, he ain't got the numbers. And no. What is this thing with hating on Kawhi Leonard? I understand if he wasn't playing, but he's playing now. Why do people like hating so much on this dude?
Well, a couple of things that play when you talk about that. Like when they have their production meeting, this happens a lot. All right, should Kawhi be considered an MVP? Skip's like, yeah. Keyshawn's like, yeah. Richard's like, yeah. And then they're like, oh, okay, let's not talk about that because we're just going to go ring around the rosy. Then Richard probably says, well, you know, I could be on the fence on that one. I could go both ways on that one. I've been guilty of saying that too. Like, I'm not saying it with conviction. I'm just saying, yeah, obviously. And then they got something there. So they need someone typically to naturally disagree. Now, what we're seeing is a lot of these natural disagreements are actually contrived because you really voted the other way, but just for the spirit of entertainment, you start to say, let me argue my own point. And that's what happened. So you probably saw just a live and in color person just arguing against themselves. And that's why you'd be like, what you talking about? And it's the same thing with Agent Zero. He doesn't believe half the stuff he's saying right now. I don't think. Not the stuff that I keep seeing, these big headline ones. He don't believe that. But to be provocative now, this is what they're all doing. To be provocative now, you got to say something that sounds like it's right, but then you know it could be proven wrong. Because that battle, you know how it goes. Charles, you watching, you're like, oh, yeah. Wait a minute. And as soon as that happens, you're interested, you're engaged. And then all they need for you to do is respond or react to it, which we're all guilty of. And then they got us. And then you watch their views go up while we over there arguing because this sounds crazy. And they like, yeah, I know it's crazy, fool. That's why I said it, even though it sounded like it was right.